I once saved a pregnant noblewoman, and she smiled and told me, once her baby was born, she'd make me the godmother. But then I marched out to the frontier, and over time we just lost touch. Until one day, 8 years later, one of my guys came to report that someone had ridden all the way from Jinling, asking for me by name. I stepped out of my tent, and there she was, a chubby little girl on a tiny horse, completely surrounded by a bunch of big army guys. Her cheeks were bright red from the border wind, she had on a worn but thick little coat, and she was swinging a tiny riding crop like she owned the place, eyes wide, scared but stubborn. She puffed up and yelled, "Song Yunying is my mom! You mess with me, you're done!" Every single soldier around me turned to stare. Their jaws practically hit the ground. I said, "Well, funny you mention that. I'm Song Yunying." My messenger next to me lost it. "You've been holding out on us? Since when do we have a little niece?" I shoved him aside, walked forward, and the crowd parted for me like clockwork. The girl hopped off her horse and craned her neck up at me. What she saw was a woman in full armor, stone-faced, radiating nothing but cold menace. Every step she took, the iron plates clanged like a death knell. She swallowed hard, clearly scared now, but still screamed, "Stay back! I'm looking for my mom! Song Yunying! I want Song Yunying!" She jutted out her chin and announced, "My mom is a general, okay? She's incredibly powerful. If she finds out you messed with me, none of you are walking away." The second she finished, I grabbed her by the back of her collar and lifted her clean off the ground. My face was blank, my voice ice cold. "I am Song Yunying." "But since when do I have a daughter?" The Song family had served the crown for generations. Men and women alike all went to war, and almost none of them made it back. We were the definition of a loyal, sacrificial bloodline. People on the outside used to say the frontier soil had basically become the Song family graveyard, and in the end, all that was left was one woman, Song Yunying, the Song family demon. And this so-called demon was no delicate, gentle soul. Quite the opposite. She was ruthless, cold-blooded, and when she went to war, she left nothing standing. After decades holding the border, even the most savage raiders had learned to fear her. And yeah, they were right. I never left survivors. Not just raiders. Anyone who ever crossed me or lied to me, I wiped them out completely. So what kind of person comes near a woman like that, let alone have kids with her? And yet, out of nowhere, this little marshmallow shows up in my camp, loudly telling everyone she's my flesh and blood. I raised an eyebrow. And trust me, that's never a good sign. If she couldn't give me a real explanation, I didn't care how cute or pitiful she looked. I'd have to deal with her accordingly. I was waiting for her to break down crying. After all, everyone in the world either feared me or stayed the hell away. They called me too blood-soaked, a living demon. And honestly, they weren't wrong. The little girl just stared at me, her chubby cheeks twitching, nose sniffling. I scoffed. I was already bored. I was about to hand her off to my deputy and tell him to get her out of my sight. I don't do noise. But the next second, she latched onto my leg with everything she had, sobbing, "Mom, Sui Sui finally found you! Are you really going to abandon Sui Sui?" I froze. The whole camp went dead silent. That kid cried with zero logic, snot and tears all over my armor, like she'd suffered the greatest injustice in the world. Through her sobs, she managed to say, "Mom, I went through so much to get here. You weren't there and they all picked on me. Sui Sui needs her mom. Sui Sui is not some kid with no mother." My deputy rushed over trying to pull her away. "General, please don't get angry. I'll take her right now. She won't bother you, I promise." He knew my temper better than anyone. The last person who pulled this kind of stunt in front of me got torn apart. I don't do mercy, not even for kids. But even before I could move, nobody could pry her off. She just looked up at me, crying through hiccups. "Mom, do you really not want Sui Sui anymore?" She was just a little kid who didn't understand anything, but her eyes were full of heartbreak. I reached out, tilted her face up toward mine, and something inside me shifted. I asked her flat out, "You say you're my daughter, and then who's your father? You got proof?" I, Song Yunying, knew I had made enemies everywhere. One wrong move and it could all come crashing down. So I never got close to anyone. No friends, no marriage, no children. I lived alone, and every man who ever came near me was made to drink something to make sure there'd be no accidents. She'd better have a good reason. Because looking at that small, innocent face, I couldn't help thinking of my brother's little girl who was just learning to walk. She had tiny braids too, and she used to stumble toward me with her arms wide open, babbling for me to pick her up. Then the raiders came. My brother and his wife both died on the battlefield. Even the child didn't make it. The little girl who used to call me auntie in her tiny voice, all that was left of her was a pale, purple-tinged little face. So yeah, Song Yunying was supposed to live for bloodshed and die alone, and yet here right now a kid was holding on to me and calling me mom, and she said it without missing a beat. "My dad is the Marquis of Ning'an. My name is Shu Sui Sui. I'm Song Yunying's daughter." Then she pulled out a safety lock pendant. "Mom, you left this for Sui Sui, to keep me safe and healthy for 100 years. I looked at the inscription. It really did say, Song Yunying. My mind went completely blank. "You're Wang Qiu's daughter?" Shu Sui Sui's eyes lit up. "Mom, you finally remembered my other mama. Gu Wang Qiu." God, how long had it been since I'd heard that name? 8 years ago, the border was on the verge of collapse. I was terrified for my brother, so I went straight to the emperor and got 200,000 troops to ride out. On the road, I came across a pregnant noblewoman, face white as a sheet, completely surrounded by bandits. One of the bandits laughed and said, "Our lucky day, we just grabbed one little woman and her husband ran off to save her. That's how we got the opening we needed." Her face fell into total despair. She watched the blade come down, tears spilling from the corners of her eyes. Then they turned red, splashed with blood. Not her blood. She blinked open her eyes and saw a tall woman standing there. Full armor, sharp expression, completely unfazed. The bandits who'd been so cocky a second ago were suddenly scrambling in a panic. One of them tried to bark out a threat. "Who the hell are you? You know this whole area is under the county magistrate's protection, right? You dare kill our boss. That's treason. You're breaking the law." They were dealt with fast, screams everywhere. Then a man came stumbling in. When he saw the woman, exhausted but alive, his eyes went red. He pulled her into his arms. "1Q, thank God you're okay. You're okay, that's all that matters." A young woman trailing behind him choked through tears. "Sister, this is all my fault. If I hadn't gotten into trouble, the Marquise wouldn't have had to come save me." Everyone waited to see how the wife would react, screaming, breaking down, going off. But none of that happened. She just gently stepped back from her husband and looked straight at me. "I am Gu Wanqiu. May I ask the name of my savior?" I looked at this whole weird situation and genuinely didn't get it. Why would a husband ditch his pregnant wife for another woman? And why did that other woman keep apologizing like it was somehow a flex? But I didn't dislike Gu Wanqiu. I gave a simple nod. Song Yunying. They happened to be heading the same direction as my army, so I let them tag along. Shu Xingzhou thanked me like I'd saved his life. He clearly knew he'd done Wanqiu wrong. Every time he tried to make it up to her, that sister of his would swoop in. Suddenly had a headache, suddenly had a bad leg, always pulling focus. And the rare times she wasn't around, Wanqiu was just distant, cool and unbothered. He looked more and more defeated. I asked Wanqiu, "Doesn't that bother you?" She gave a bitter smile and shook her head. "Honestly, I used to think I'd explode. But now that I'm carrying this child, I've made my peace with it. As long as my child is safe, I couldn't care less who he's into. That's his business, not mine." A lot of the time, she'd just walk beside me, looking at me with this quiet kind of envy in her eyes.